the defendant, and that's when it would be determined.
And
is that how it currently?
If I could add to that, typically how it works right now, the participant, if they opt for that option of financial need, we would request 2 pay stubs or a tax return, and then we would ascertain where they fall into that sliding scale and put them in the appropriate spot.
so there's a mechanism.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Was there another comment?
Now, the question, though, is who is we that make
sorry.
that? The vendor decides? One of the questions that was raised in the analysis is who has the authority to verify if the sliding scale is actually being followed? And I did not see that in the bill. Is it in the bill?
I can address that partially. We're working with occupational licensing currently with Timothy Corcoran and trying to set up standards to that objective. And I was going to talk to Senator Hill about that as well, because there needs to be some sort of across the board protocol for that. Currently, it's left with the various providers, and we take that in and we let the individual know that that's available to them. If I'm answering your question, Senator.
It does seem to me this might be something that needs to be clarified.
Yes, I see.
I think there's another response there from Mr. Hernandez. Can we hear from him?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very briefly, we have heard, I've been talking to a lot of our DUI attorneys, countless problems on the sliding scale where individuals go in to install it, they're trying to comply, they get a ride there because I can't drive. And there's been a lot of instances where there's not compliance with the sliding scale, where the offender driver is told, this is what it costs, this is what it costs. And they say, well, this and that. It doesn't happen. The problem is, where does somebody go? This is absolutely decided only at the vendor level. Where are complaints filed? Who's overseeing this? And that's when I brought up earlier is that we need to look at, that's not part of the DMV study, is compliance and, you know, where complaints go and how can we crack down. If we're going to do this statewide forever or for 5 years, we need to make sure that there's oversight, especially for the low-income folks. And as I mentioned, it's 45 to 50% Latino, primarily lower income DUIs every year for the last decade. And those are the folks that we're hearing from that are having the problems where they just walk into their neighborhood installer, the closest installer, and it's take it or leave it. And that's on top of the $3,600 or so, if not more, that they have to pay in court fines and fees, on top of the DMV process, which is completely different. I think goes to Senator Leno's question of how do you inform it. Hard suspension occurs 30 days after a DUI offense unless you request a hearing. There's very little coordination between the DMV process and the courts. So that's outside of this bill, but it complicates the workability of this bill, and it's something that I think needs to be looked at going forward. With that, thank you for the time.
So then on that point, with respect to the suggestion of a sunset, maybe we could see if DMV within 5 years could come up with an assessment of the implementation of this and have them report back to this committee, maybe after 3 years, and not frame that as a sunset on the bill, but see if our DMV could get us some thorough information on any improvements that might improve the operations of it.
With the DMV.
I think that might be a very good idea, but I think there really might be some clarifications that are needed in the bill.
There will be. I mean, absolutely. I think this is a
There are many areas clearly.
we need to have a set standard, and it needs to be followed by some regulatory authority that makes sure that it's followed consistently.
Well, and there needs to be some place to go that people understand they can go to if
it will be in the bill.
The sliding scale isn't being honored, or,
Madam Chair?
Senator Leno?
I think this is a really important issue. With all due respect to the industry, it's just counterintuitive that we would give the authority to make the determination of the sliding scale to the very people who are going to make money on those who are at the higher end. So even if it's either a close determination it has to be an independent body. They have a financial incentive to want to put me in a higher
Right.
category than a lower. I don't know if it would add cost to the court, but it would seem to me that's the body who should make the determination, not the installers.
Well, and my understanding is that the court makes that determination in certain regards already, but I don't know, not in this particular case, but they look at income and verify it. So that will be taken.
Again, I'm not looking to burden the bill with.
No, I understand.
Issue of fairness.
We want to make sure that that's fair.
Third party should make that determination, not someone who has a profit incentive.
Yes, no, absolutely.
May I chime in just on the issue of court discretion? For example, with electronic monitoring, when you're on house arrest, there's an attendant cost that's also associated with that. And if the cost cannot be borne by the defendant's attorney raises that with the court. We're there, the DA's there, the defense attorney's there, and we talk to the judge about it. Oftentimes, fines and fees are shifted to cover costs of whatever electronic monitoring occurs and exists. Because this would then be a condition of probation, the installation of this ignition device, the court would, as the body imposing the probation condition, retain jurisdiction to see if that condition is imposed, whether it's imposed fairly, whether there's a problem with regard to its imposition. So I don't think that just because there's input, let's say from, and I share your concern, right? It doesn't make sense that the people who could profit off of it would want to come down, right? We've all had bad experiences with insurance companies at times as well. But the court, at the end of the day, retains the discretion and the jurisdiction to intervene during the course of that probation and the life of the ignition device installation.
But we have, if I may.
We want to make sure.
We've just heard from Mr. Hernandez, I don't, it may be anecdotal information, but nonetheless, in the pilot project from which we're supposed to be learning and crafting this current bill, we're being told that installers are making the determination, not the court, and that defendants have no place to turn if they doubt they're in the correct sliding scale bracket. So
We need to correct that.
All right.
Make sure that that's clear. I agree.
thank you very
That
much.
will be done.
I'm fine.
No,
Madam Chair, on Senator Leno's concern about the sunset, California missed out on federal NHTSA dollars because of the pilot program. And if we continue with the pilot, the highway bill the federal NHTSA has $20 million of funding for the states that implement a full program. And I believe if we have a sunset, that's going to affect the dollars that California would be able to get from NHTSA to fund the program. And if I'm correct, California is in line for $2 to $3 million.
as a state,
Huh?
yeah, that's pretty small. Are you sure? You
Well,
said 20 million.
20 million is the fund.
National.
National.
And-
So, I mean, I think that should be looked in before we put the word sunset on it, if we're going after the NHTSA dollars.
I think we probably need to know more about that. Is this bill double referred to transportation? No.
It's met.
Appropriations.
Yeah, I know. It's just that we're not familiar with those dollars, but I think we should be,
Map 21.
because if in fact, I don't know if $2 to $3 million would actually cover the entire state. But it would be something that we should look at. So where are we? I think, as I said, that we're in a place where this seems like something to try, but frankly, it's a can of worms, and the bill is not specific enough about how it's going to be implemented. And I would just point out that the issue of fines and fees and the impact on low-income people and the kind of ignoring of the law that can happen when people literally cannot pay their fines and their fees is now a national issue. Used to be an issue here in California. It's now been raised by the Attorney General, by the National Administration. So I think that if we're going to do something in California, we ought to get it right. And we ought to make sure that there's recourse and that we have an implementation process that is spelled out in the bill. I don't know how to do that today because, like some of the other senators, I was very disappointed that we didn't get the DMV report. And I know there could be many reasons for that. One of the things, if you underfund government at every level, you're going to find, whether it's the courts or the DMV or anybody else, they find it harder to cover all the bases that we ask them to cover. But we don't want to create another mess that somebody has to come back in 10 or 15 years and say, look what we're doing here. So for me, I think I would like the bill to move forward today to appropriations. I really do appreciate the work that Matt has put into this, the advocates. Never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world, right? And Margaret Mead. But I think I'm going to retain the ability to pull it back after appropriations unless these issues are addressed. I
would really enjoy working with the committee on these issues, especially everything that was raised today, as well as the report, if we do get it, when we get it from them, to make sure that those items are addressed. I mean, these are very good comments today and very good suggestions, and I think things that need to be addressed in this bill. And we will, I'm committed to make that happen, and we will do it before appropriations.
Okay. Should we go over, what they are? I think one of them is who's going to verify the financial reports. And what were some of the other ones?
We had
Yeah, the $500. How will that be explicitly communicated to people so they have an incentive? Right,
on the mandatory, yeah,
right.
on the suspension issue.
Okay, so those were three things. Anything else?
Sliding scale?
I think we want
Rich?
to find out also,
The sliding scale, yeah, and how that will be verified. And there should be a place for people who feel they're being treated in a cavalier way.
some type of appeal, some type of
Someplace you can
mediation
go
of
and
problems,
say.
someplace to go, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so with those additions to the motion, there, is the motion clear?
The motion is just to pass to appropriations. It's just my understanding, it's just an understanding between the author and members of the committee.
That we will have it back unless that those three things will be addressed.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to make the motion as you stated.
Thank you. We're just trying to figure out what it is. So the bill will pass. The bill will pass to appropriations with the understanding that those three items will be clarified and in the bill when it goes to appropriations.
And we will address anything that comes from the DMV as well.
Right, okay. Anything that comes from the DMV report, should we get it before appropriations? Yes, we will. Or when we get it, we can look at it again, too. Okay, Will the secretary please read the roll?
Motion is due pass to appropriations. Hancock.
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson.
Aye.
Anderson, aye. Glazer.
Honor of that, aye.
Aye. Glazer, aye. Leno. Aye. Leno, aye. Lou. Lou, aye. Monning.
Aye.
Monning, aye. Stone. Stone, aye.
Thank you. And I want to thank the staff for their work on this. Senator
Thank you, Madam.
Hill, for your
Members and your staff
tenacity and leadership.
Staff was extraordinary.
And
Thank you.
everybody else.
Vote that bill passes.
Yes, so the bill is out. The vote was 7-0. Okay. Yes. So the last bill of the day is Senator Galgiani, SB 1182.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I'm here today to present Senate Bill 1182 relating to 3 substances commonly known as date rape drugs. These date rape drugs will render a sexual assault victim completely incapacitated. They also result in a victim having little to no memory of the assault which took place. This can result in a situation where a rapist can escape prosecution because the victim can't remember the details of the crime when questioned in court. SB 1182 would create a felony crime for the possession of date rape drugs with the intent to commit sexual assault. This will allow prosecutors to bring felony charges against a perpetrator who has been found in possession of these drugs and has taken steps to use them to facilitate a sexual assault. Given the difficult nature of prosecuting sexual assault crimes, the legislature should embrace this opportunity to provide serious consequences for criminals looking to use date rape drugs to leave a victim incapacitated, unable to fight off their offender, and unable to recall the events leading up to the rape. SB 1182 recognizes that date rape drugs can be used as a tool for sexual predators. With me today, I have John Lovell, representing the California Police Chiefs Association, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Speaker is in support.
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is John Lovell. I'm here on behalf of the California College and University Police Chiefs Association and the other 6 law enforcement organizations I previously referenced in prior testimony. We're strongly in support of this bill. One of the sad realities in a campus environment is that sexual assaults take place disproportionately. I'm sure you've seen some of the articles about this dynamic, and one of the tools of those sexual assaults is the use of so-called date rape drugs. Recently, you may remember at the Teak House at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, they actually had a very complex setup where you had one of the fraternity brothers at the door as people were coming in, and they would hand stamp various people to determine their age, except if they determined that one of the co-eds was, to use the words in the testimony, effable, she was given a different color hand stamp. And then a Confederate behind the bar at the party would use date rape drugs on those particular people. This was featured in Newsweek magazine. This is emblematic of one of the problems. The old law before Prop 47 made possession of these drugs a wobbler, so that in those fact situations where there was an intent, where there was clear intent to use this in a predatory fashion, we have a remedy. Since Prop 47 was passed, the entire array of possession has been reduced to a simple misdemeanor. This bill restores that balance where if we can show an intent to use this in a predatory fashion, then a felony option is appropriate. As I say, given the sad reality of disproportionate sexual assaults on campuses, my organization, the College and University Police Chiefs, strongly is in support of this bill. We commend the author for bringing this forward. If she hadn't done it, we would have been sponsoring a bill, but thank God for Senator Galgiani. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members, Marty Varadkar on behalf of the California District Attorneys Association. We're proud to, again, support this measure to make possession of these so-called date rape drugs with the intent to commit a sexual assault a felony. This bill, as Mr. Lovell indicated, would correct, in our minds, an unintended consequence of what happened in Prop 47, which reduced the possession of these date rape drugs from a wobbler to a misdemeanor. Unfortunately, we've seen a rise in the predatory use of these drugs with the intent to commit sexual assaults. And so for that reason, and others as stated in our letter, we are again in support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Madam Chair, members. Sean Rundle with the California Peace Officers Association. Also, our thoughts and concerns echoed by my colleagues here at the table. So our letter got in late, so I apologize for missing the analysis, but our organization of nearly 3,000 peace officers across California are also in support of the measure.
Thank you. Others in support?
Chair and members, Jonathan Feldman with the California Police Chiefs Association in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Dawn Kabke on behalf of Crime Victims United of California, also in support.
Thank you.
Charlene Bach on behalf of Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley and the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in support.
Thank you. Others in support? Seeing and hearing none, are there speakers in opposition to the bill? Seeing and hearing none, are there questions or comments from the committee, or is there a motion? Senator Anderson.
Senator, I believe I'm a co-author on this bill, but if I'm not, I'd like to be added. You ran this bill before. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed it. I'd like to just say publicly now that if he chooses to veto this again, I'd be more than happy to support a veto override. I think that this bill is very compelling and that it's absolutely outrageous that he vetoed it the first time. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to pass the bill.
Thank you, Senator.
The bill has been moved. Any other comments? Seeing and hearing none. Pardon? Yeah, would you like to close, Senator?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, thank you. Secretary, please read the roll.
Motion is due pass to appropriations. Hancock?
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson?
Aye.
Anderson, aye. Glazer?
Aye.
Glazer, aye. Leno? Lou? Monning?
Aye.
Monning, aye. Stone? Stone, aye.
That motion has enough votes to pass, and we'll hold the roll open for the absent members. Some members are presenting bills in other committees right now. Oh, yeah. Okay. We can do add-ons for Senator Monning. I believe item 3, the consent calendar.
Monning?
Aye.
Monning, aye.
Okay, and Senator Monning, item 1, SB 869 by Hill.
Monning?
Aye.
Monning, aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that bill passes 6-2.
5-2.
We don't make the calendar.
And now we're just waiting
For Senator Leno. And Lou. Why don't, could somebody call Senator Lou's office? Okay.
She probably figures she has many bills.
I thought it was.
Okay, we're going to open the roll for add-ons. The consent calendar, Senator Liu.
Lou, aye.
Okay, the consent calendar passes unanimously. And item 4, SB 1182 by Galgiani.
Leno? Aye. Leno, aye. Lou? Lou, aye.
Okay, that motion passes 7-0. So
We're adjourned.
the meeting is adjourned.